So welcome back, guys. So today we are going to see, fourth sub unit, that is groups and social influence. So within the social influence, how this conformity would actually, takes place, and how this shapes individual behavior, we'll try to understand in today's class. So group and social influence. So first of all, let's understand what is social influence. So it is a process by which an individual's attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors are modified by presence of others, actions or others, right? So actions of others. So the groups, especially this influence, when we talk about social influence, we'll talk about the groups, how groups are behaving, etc. But here we need to understand first thing is that what is in social influence. So this is an influence by which our individual attitudes could keep changing, or even beliefs or behaviors which keeps changing or modified in the presence of or even actions of others. So actually in this social influence area, there are 4 areas that social influence would cover. One is conformity, the other one is compliance and obedience, and minority influences. So today we'll try to see, so these are the 4 areas: conformity, compliance and obedience, and minority influence. So today we'll try to see what is conformity. So what is conformity in that matter, for that matter? So conformity is nothing but an individual, humans are actually influenced by the behavior of others, even when we are not aware of being of. So though we are not aware of that, we still being influenced by the presence of others or the actions of other individuals within the groups or other groups members. So we either consciously or unconsciously adjust our own behavior to align with the behaviors of others in a group. So though we are aware of or not, so we consciously or unconsciously we try to align to this particular sort of behavior. So conformity refers to how an individual or a small group change their behavior or attitudes as a result of influence of a larger group, where there is no direct request for them to do so. So how exactly, though there is no direct request posting that Vamsy, you have to change in that manner or not, I still consciously or unconsciously alter my behavior to do so. So that study or that is what we actually conform. So when have you conformed? So let's try to imagine or recollect how many times we conformed the different hairstyle or the different dressing and different way outfits we would have gone to or joined in certain clubs. So there are a number of examples that we can really think of. So try to think of when have you conformed, when have you shown this type of conformity in your own life, so that gives you a direct connect to the topic itself. For example, taking selfies, etc. Right. So for that matter, why do we conform? So why do we conform has different theories put forth, where it might be because of informative social influence. It refers to instances where people conform because they are uncertain about what to do in a particular situation. So they look to others for their guidance. So this is something tends to be a permanent change. So the informative social influence. So social influence through information. So during an uncertain situations, we decide to be correct and look to our social groups for answers. So this is how we actually desire information and we try to conform ourselves, right? This is one way. So one theory is explaining that why do we conform for that matter. And there is normative type of social influence on us, consciously or unconsciously, that refers to where instances where someone conforms in order to fit into that particular group so that they can avoid disapprovals from the members of other groups, or despite they are privately disagreeing with them. So it's like, though they are private disagreeing, they consciously they agree with certain groups so that they gain approval, or to avoid disapproval from other groups. So for example, you liking your friend post in Instagram, and you would say in private that the post is somewhat weird, but you still like that post. So this is something normative social influence. So though we are not in direct agreement, we tend to be agreement with other individuals when it comes to normative social influence. So how about types of conformity? So types of conformity, when we talk about types of conformity and especially how people conform. So according to Kelman, 1958, there are actually 3 levels. So if you can see this, your internalization is somewhat deepest level of conformity when it comes to lowest, most shallow level, that is compliance. So what are these compliance for that matter? So compliance is the most superficial type of conformity. So it is superficial, not very deep down as internalization. And here, when compliance is there, where individual conforms publicly to avoid social disapprovals, but maintains their own private opinions. So that is compliance. For example, going outside to smoke because nobody else in the house is smoking. So this is one of the example for compliance. And laughing at a joke where we don't really find funny also. So though privately we have our own opinion, we do it deliberately so that we actually reduce the disapproval. What is identification? Second level of conformity. So this is little deeper level of conformity than the compliance. So this is where the individual adapts their behavior because they value membership of the group. So for example, I belongs to group A and doesn't belongs to group B. So I value that group's membership so that I behave in a certain manner. So the individual conform both publicly as well as privately. So before compliance, where if you see that there is a private opinion, but here either privately and publicly also, individual would conform to certain groups. So it is still actually a temporary change that adjustment would be there in the likely revert back to the original opinions of their own attitudes at this level of group. So it means that compliance is a very superficial. Next deep one is identification, and the third one is internalization. So internalization, for example, identification examples like joining a yoga club, or joining a metal club, a support group or something, which actually you still have that sort of your own opinions that you can actually revert back to join into any other groups. So coming to internalization, So internalization represents a permanent change in individuals' behavior and attitudes, and which results from the views being internalized. So the views and values that one has one's own. So for example, I have my own views of something. So to make this video or not. So I internalized. It is so permanent that every day I'm doing at 8 p.m. I have to post. So I internalized so that it would be useful for someone else. So again, fitting into the social group of psychology people. So here, internalization is so permanent that, though the results in both a public and private change in behavior and attitudes, this is the deepest level of conformity is something refers to as true conformity. So this is what true conformity, where I internalize that this is a need to be, that is a need, and that has to be done. Something have to be done for that. So this is something internalized. So in other words, the individual shows conformity to the group because we genuinely agrees with their views. So I agree with my views genuinely. So this is something which explained through informational social influence. So something here, internalization is the deepest level of conformity. For example, joining an human rights organization, becoming a vegetarian, etc., can be can be taken example, as an internalization. So these are the few types of, methods of conformity, where we have seen that how social influence would be there. So we will deal with other aspects like social power, aggression, group dynamics, etc. in the next video. Thank you.